Hello and welcome to Best versus Best, the show where I compare two games from various game series and try to decide which one I like the most or which one I think is the best. This was going to... thought of this idea many years ago. I thought I would make it into a more advanced type regular video, but then I never ended up doing it and decided I probably never was going to get around to it, so I'm going to do it in this fashion, and then that way it will actually get done. So this time I decided to take three of my favorite, incidentally, video game series and compare the two best games of that series and decide which one is the best. I will attempt to be both subjective and objective, but of course, in the end, it's just an opinion anyway. The three series are Super Mario, Mega Man, and Final Fantasy. Now, by Super Mario, I mean the platformers. I don't mean Kart, I don't mean Smash, and I certainly don't mean the sports games or the party games, etc., etc. And when I say platformers, I pretty much mean the 2D games, even though I love the 3D games too. The 2D games will always be my favorite. But the two best ones are, I think most people will agree, it's between Super Mario Bros. 3 and Super Mario World, aka Super Mario Bros. 4, as this Japanese cartridge says. Now, the thing with these two is, first of all, I acknowledge that Mario 3 has an advantage for me just because I played it first, and it was also pretty much the first game I ever owned. It wasn't the first game I played, but the first game that really left an impression on me. So, in a way, it's like, well, obviously that one's going to win, but still, let's try to look at it. First of all, I guess the graphics, which is the easiest battle because it's obviously going to the newer game on the newer system. Obviously, yes, Super Mario World has better graphics. It's pretty much... it was a really early Super Nintendo game, so it didn't advance. It looks kind of like a souped-up Mario 3, pretty much. But there's also some cool stuff. Like there's a lot more animation in Mario World than it is in Mario 3. Like whenever you beat the castles, you have the little scene of Mario destroying the castle in some way. One time a bomb blows up in his face, and he just jumps on it and stuff like that. There's a lot like lighting effects which are nice. The ghost houses are very nice looking. Yeah, I mean this one is quite the no-brainer. Obviously, when it comes to graphics, Super Mario World wins. Next category, I'm going to take music, and here I think it's, for me, you might disagree, but for me it's easy. Mario 3 is the best game when it comes to music, because Mario World did what also later Final Fantasy X would do. Is that they would take one song and redo it for other levels. Of course, they'd have more than one song. Like the overworld music is all different. The fortress music is different, and that's actually good. I think the fortress music is better than 3. But the main song, the dun 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 dun, which is a really good song. When you have the water version, it's like do 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 do. They just slow it down a bit. You have the athletic theme, which is just and then it's pretty much the same again. It's like a version of it, and to me, in one way it's cool, but in the other way it comes across as lazy. But in general, you take that one really good song, and then you take Mario 3's several good songs, and to me, yeah, Mario 3 wins. And it's because, the first overworld song, the is good, and then really good. Mario 3 has an original underwater theme, which is really good. The airship theme is amazing. Great. The battle themes are surprisingly good. Hammer Brothers and the Koopa Kids. Bowser's battle theme is really good. So it can rock as well as sound just nice in general. Of course, I will admit that the dun 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 is a better standard overworld theme than dun 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 dun. Yes, I will admit that. However, then also the underground, like Mario World has like dun 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 doo doo, and then I think it's like doo 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 doo. I don't quite remember right now, but Mario 3 has like an enhanced version of Mario 1's Underworld theme, the iconic doo 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 doo, and with a nice beat in the background. So anyway, you might disagree, but for me, it's Mario 3 wins music. There's not really much of story to speak of in either of these games, but just for shits and giggles, let's take story for the win here. Now, both of them are, of course, Bowser kidnaps Peach, and you have to save her, and that's it. However, Mario 3, if you have the manual, actually is slightly different than you would expect, and it doesn't quite come across when you play the game so much. But he doesn't actually kidnap Princess Peach. I was led to believe that because of the letters. I thought those letters came from Peach sitting in Bowser's castle somewhere, but she actually doesn't. She's not sending them from there. She's just in her own castle. It's only when you beat World 7 when Bowser actually goes to kidnap Peach, and then the letters from him instead. In Mario World, he just kidnaps Peach from the start. However, Mario World does have more story in the way it has text. Mario 3 doesn't have any text in game except for the kings, which only says the same thing all the time, and Toad houses and stuff. So you have the Yoshis that he basically put all the Yoshis in boxes and stuff. And it also adds a little bit more story than he just kidnaps Princess Peach. Plus, he has the whole world thing. On the other hand, Mario 3 has the lands, and I guess that's kind of a separate, but let's just bake it into the whole story thing. You have the Mario World and the Super Mario Lands of Mario 3, if you want to compare those. I do enjoy that Mario 3 is one big overworld, and you can walk from Yoshi's Island to Bowser's Castle after you beaten the stages up to that point, of course. However, that comes with its own issue. That actually belongs in the gameplay category. But basically, for story, I'm still just going to go ahead and just say it's a tie, whatever. But on the other hand, then Mario World has the Koopa Kids. And they were new and fresh in Mario 3. They're just sort of there in World just because they were in 3. They're kind of a holdover. I'm going to say Mario 3 wins by a hair, but it doesn't really count for much because story in Mario games never amounts to much except for in the RPG games. So win for Mario 3, but let's call it a wash because it's a very unimportant category. And now the most important category, gameplay, in which I will include control, because it's a very important part of gameplay. I feel that the control in Mario World is slightly more slippery than Mario 3. I think Mario 3 controls maybe a little bit tighter. I don't know, because in Mario 3 he takes he can't just stop on a dime. He has to walk a little bit. But then in Mario World, instead of the whole walking thing, he feels like he slides a little. But actually, I'm playing it now. I don't really anymore. It's not really an issue so much for me anymore. So I'm just going to sort of ignore that I said that. Well, one thing is, I'm just going to go random here. But the flying in Mario 3, you have complete control over your flying, and it's really easy to do. However, in Mario World, it's not as easy to do. When you're actually up in the air, you don't have as much good control as you did in Mario 3. On the other hand, you can do more stuff in Mario World, and technically it's way more advanced because you're not just flying, you're pressing jump to go up in the air. You actually have like a momentum thing, and you can dive bomb into enemies, and you can then dive and then go way up. I just find it kind of hard to control, but that's just me, so I can't hold that against the game. But just for me personally, I've felt more annoyance over the flying in World than in 3, because in 3 there is no annoyance except if you fly way too high up. In the NES version anyway, you can make the game glitch and you can die from something. The game will sort of loop and you will die from nothing. But otherwise, yeah, I can find it annoying in Mario World finding the space to jump and then actually controlling it, and then I overshoot it and I can't go back because you're on this trajectory. So just for me personally, I would prefer the flying in 3. But again, that's really not a big issue because it's It's really me. It's not you. It's me. Mario World it has a lot longer levels than Mario 3. Mario 3 has pretty short levels. Not a whole lot of them are really long, which I actually like. And I guess I shouldn't, but Mario 3 also has. Mario World has more levels, and it has the secret exits. And then there's also the 4 super players levels. So Mario World has more content. And Mario World has Yoshi, for one. That is just straight up better than Mario 3, because there is no such thing in 3. And Yoshi is great. I love Yoshi. I love that you can take another hit while he runs away without losing any of your own power-ups. Eating enemies and shooting out various things, and it's all great stuff. I will say the power-ups I think are better in 3, just because there are more of them, because basically Yoshi replaces power-ups in World, except for the cape and the fire flower are there, but other than that there's nothing. But in 3 you have the Tanuki suit, which is just like the leaf raccoon. You have the frog suit, you have the hammer suit, the fire flower like usual. It's a real good time. I like the power-ups. And that brings me to probably my biggest complaint with Mario World, or the thing when I play Mario World, the thing I miss from 3 the most, it's the items, the item management or whatever. In Mario 3, you win items in Toad houses, and then, or get them from Peach, and you have this little bar at the end, at the bottom, and you press B on the map, and you can use an item, you can save them for later. I love that system. Mario World doesn't have it. In Mario World, you have this reserve box up in the air, where if you have the fire flower and you grab a cape, the flower goes up there, and then when you get hit, it comes down. I don't like this. First of all, you can press select and have it drop down when you want to, but the fact that it comes down just when you're hit is actually not as good as it sounds, because it makes the item, it wastes the item completely if it's an auto-scrolling stage. And if you're like try to jump over a big pit or something, the item coming down is not helping. Plus, the item coming down goes through any platform anyway, so it's kind of useless. Not entirely, but it's definitely not as good as 3, I think. And I just like the freedom of the saving. You can save it for whenever. So that is like, for me, it's a complaint of Mario World. The only complaint I can think of with 3 is that the pipes on the overworld are pointless. They do nothing. Because they always, if you try them the first time you find it, you get to some kind of locked door. And then you go back, you go to some other level, and the door unlocks. And now you can use the pipe for no reason. So except for like World 4 and 7, where you have to use the pipes to actually go somewhere, the other ones are just teases, because they're just there to fuck with you pretty much. I don't like those. But that's not as big of a complaint. And also in general, I think Mario 3 has a better difficulty curve. Mario 3 starts really easy and it gets gradually hard and then really hard, because the last world is actually really hard. I think the last world of Mario 3, after you get past those battleships, like level 1, 2, and the castle, not castle, the mini castle, the fortress, they're harder than anything in Mario World, except for, of course, Star Road and the special stuff. The worst level in Mario World, I think, would be the sunken ghost ship that has just booze everywhere. And that's another complaint I have to levy at World, just because you don't have that item box thing. That happens to me a lot when you're just starting a level from small Mario is just not possible. I feel not possible sometimes, so I have to walk all the way back through the world to like Yoshi's Island, the first one, where I feel that I 100% safely can get one power up and one for reserve, or Yoshi, and then I go all the way back, and then I try the stage again, and maybe or maybe not beat it. Now I'm back to music again, but when you beat the stage in Mario World you have this, that jingle is best, and it's better than Mario 3. The Mario 3 is good, but it's really short. But in Mario World, and it's very like Looney Tunes or something. It's amazing. That's what I hate with soundtrack clips on online, where they have the whole theme, but they don't have the like. If you don't have that, it's not complete. Bowser's castle, like the last level in Mario World, is really easy. You just run to the last door, have a little bit of a mini stage, and then run through the last door again, and then you're at Bowser. If you go through all the other doors, then yeah, it gets harder. But why would you? Because you don't have to. In Mario 3, the last stage is a little harder. It's not really hard, but it's a little harder. You can't if you're not small Mario, ironically, or have the leaf. It's pretty hard to jump on those little donut blocks because they're like so high above you. The small Mario can jump, as you know, more. But yeah, again, random. Mario World's difficulty curve is not as smooth as in 3, I think. Mario World goes a little bit like this, up and down, up and down. I think the Yoshi's Island is really easy. And then as soon as you get to Donut Plains, it actually starts getting not hard, obviously, but just a little harder than I expected. Like that one, the underground stage where the scrolling goes back and forth. So if you jump up on a platform too early, you get squashed and that kind of stuff. Of course, it's pretty easy to learn, but it's just a little surprising to me. But it's a hard decision, and you already made up yours, of course. But and of course you're going to cry, nostalgia. But it's still documented. I like Mario 3 more, and I like it more because it has better music, it has a better difficulty curve, it has the item box thing on the world map. The stages are a little shorter, short but sweet. There's frustration in both games, definitely, but I feel there's a little less frustration in Mario 3, even though the stages are less advanced because you don't have as much stuff as they thought of in Mario World, like those plant things with the stalk thing that goes like doing, or the ropes you hang on as the saws go around, and the on and off box. I mean, all that is great stuff, but in Mario 3 is a little bit more of a pure platforming challenge, maybe you could say. I've been playing Mario World a little bit recently, and I just got annoyed, frustrated more than I do when I play Mario 3. And I do get frustrated when I play Mario 3. It's not like I'm, nostalgia blinded, where I'm just like, oh, this is amazing all the time. But yeah, in the end, I'm still going to say that Mario 3 is the bestest game of them both. Mario 3, the best Mario game. Concluded.